And I know that I'm sure a number of you have experienced it, whether growing up or whether as parents, you take kids to a creek or to a field or to a forest, and you can be there for hours, right? They can get fascinated with it, and that's a good thing. So, but I think too often, and we've seen it with some of the experiences with Playscape, but good experiences I'll get into. Unfortunately, some kids don't have that opportunity to get out and into nature, and the Playscape and some of the rest of the park is really kind of giving them that opportunity. So. The next slide, I want to touch a little bit about one of the pivotal works on this by Richard Liu is The Last Child in the Woods. Perhaps a number of you have read this book. It was one of the earlier, I think, gosh, I should know this. I want to say it came out in 06, but I could be wrong on that. And very good book. This kind of documents, how our kids are somewhat being cheated by not having that experience to get out in nature. And whether that nature is a creek, a forest, a field, a park, give them that experience and they'll learn so much and they'll grow so much, right? So then getting back to our master plan, again, the master plan, while it does call out some specific projects, it also kind of gives some broad direction on some other things, especially when it comes to active recreational sports and then passive sports, passive recreation. It did call for, some playgrounds, and you can kind of see the ones we have there. These three images, the one on the upper right-hand corner, that's the Variety Wonder Playground. It's all accessible. It does incorporate some healthy amounts of landscaping, but very structured. The one in the middle is Hudlin Playground. It's over by the medical center, traditional play facilities, and then it makes use of either gravel or mulch for the surfacing. And then Oakland Playground at the bottom, that's what it looked like prior to the improvements in 2021. And it was basically a 1960s lead paint falling apart, swing sets and teeter-totters. Didn't meet code by any means. And again, we replaced that. But we did engage the Natural Learning Institute, and they helped us, especially with the Playscape project. And it was identified, if you go to the next slide, we identified the area in the park and for the nature Playscape. And I'll just kind of call this out. This is looking to the southeast, and note the existing restroom building there on the right-hand side. We have a number of those in the park. They were built in the 1930s. A number of them were built as part of the CCC effort or a WPA effort, and in St. Louis. And again, we've kept a number of those, and it's worked out well, especially here for the Playscape. So the next image shows an aerial view of the Playscape, and there you can see the restroom facilities. You see the red roof and the limestone. That's what it looked like prior. So this was it's 17 acres approximately. We initially, with the plan, didn't start out for the Playscape to be that big. It kind of evolved during the planning process, design process. But the space was largely unused. It was basically a rye fescue grass, a lot of weeds, a number of shade trees. You can see Concourse Drive on the left and Carr Lane on the right. That's a 33-foot elevation change from Concourse on top to Carr Lane on the right. On the south end, as you get up to the north, top of the picture, that elevation change isn't quite as extreme, but that is something that we had to deal with and absolutely took advantage of. So as we got into, hey, we want to do a playscape and do more of a natural playscape. Let me go to the next slide. We got into that process. Again, there was a healthy amount of community engagement with schools, with neighborhoods, and not just neighborhoods adjacent to the park. We did them throughout the city and even in the county, which is nearby. And that was real important because it is a regional park, and we wanted to make sure that we were touching various different communities, right? Different demographics throughout the city, and especially those who come or don't come to the park on a regular basis. What could we do with this project that would entice them to visit the park more so? Again, the next slide show we did engage with the Natural Learning Institute. I don't know exactly, but they do have some affiliation with North Carolina State University. I think some of their principals were teachers there, instructors there at the university, or still are. I'm not quite sure. But you can kind of see them leading some of the workshops on that. You can see some of the analysis of the site and what it looked like prior to improvement. And they really kind of set the tone as far as, what was a natural play environment? How would children use it? How would families use it? And that really got us thinking. Then we went through a formal solicitation of professional services with a landscape architect, engineering, and architecture firms. And then we selected a firm out of New York City with some local firms as their partners. And then they developed the plan for us. And again, that kind of evolved from really about a 11-acre project up to 17 acres. And again, that was just all part of the design process. So the next slide does show kind of the aerial view. I know this isn't a design plan, but it does kind of give you a sense of the plan and from a 3D perspective. And so we're kind of on the left-hand side, that is towards the south. And so there's Century Mounds, there's a Century Garden. You can see the restroom again down there towards Car Lane. It was real important that we kept some meadows, we kept some open space for just flexible play, educational use. I have often stated in my career, you give kids a patch of grass, they're gonna go make their own fun, right? Kids know how to just have fun together and challenge each other, have fun with each other, and they need a space to roll around, to run around, right, and to jump around. Give them some of that open space, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be overly programmed. Just give them, and it also works well, obviously, if you're going to convene larger groups. Right in the middle, it's defined as the spring or wetland. That is a stream, and I'll get into some of the issues we had there. It was a natural swale that was already on the slope. The design takes advantage of that. We put in a simulated stream with tall pipe water, but again, it really does kind of bifurcate the site, and it easily the most popular attraction in the playscape. We have a gravel bank. We have a number of trails that puts you up through what's called the upland prairie and the young forest. We did keep a number of the shade trees and trees on the site. However, we did cut down 40 larger trees. We did utilize a number of them in some of the play elements, the seating, especially the oak, the white oak. We made use of some hickory, some sycamore. But again, you can see, for the most part, we kept a lot of them, but then we did strategically kind of open up some areas as well. So the next slide just shows the construction process. And you can see, and this took initially it was planned for 16 months. It really kind of dragged on to about 19 months for various reasons. We did, it started in 2019, and of course we hit 2020 with the epidemic and all that, and that slowed us a bit, but we did open it up in June of 2021. And so you can see extensive use of timber, of stumps. Most of these were harvested either from the site or from within the park. Being a large park, we take down about 300 to 400 trees a year along with the city. Most of those are either storm damaged or disease damaged. And so we try to utilize that from a very sustainable standpoint.